If you meet your enemy's ox. What a strange way to start a commandment in the Torah, describing a mitzvah in the book of Exodus. It's Parashat Mishpatim, this week's Torah portion, coming after the Ten Commandments last week. But we don't just have the Ten Commandments in Parashat Yitro last week, we have tons of extra laws that get given to us, given to Moses on Mount Sinai, in the weeks following, just like this week. And this one starts, if you meet your enemy's ox, or your enemy's ass. Sorry for saying ass in a family-friendly video on our YouTube channel for our broader Beth Israel community. I promise to say donkey the whole rest of the video. It is in the Torah though. So if you meet your enemy's ox or donkey, and that ox or donkey is, say, gone astray, wandering around, its owner is nowhere to be found, what do? The Torah commands us that you should definitely return that animal to its owner. Even if that person is your enemy. It doesn't say if you find your friend or your neighbor or your colleague's ox or donkey, but even your enemies. It's really powerful if you think about it. And then it goes on and it says, if you see your enemy's ox or donkey struggling under its burden, well, you should help raise it up. Help your enemy, the person who hates you, raise up that animal who's struggling under the weight of the baggage on its back. Help it up. Not just help it up, but help your enemy with that donkey. What an amazing thing. So there's a midrash from the collection called Midrash Tanchuma, one of the great collections of midrash, all those rabbinic explanations and extrapolations and interpretations of the Torah, filling in the gaps in the Torah with little stories. And Rabbi Alexandri says, not all of the sages had Hebrew-sounding names, Rabbi Alexandri tells a story of two donkey drivers who, they hated each other. And they're walking down the road, they saw each other, and the donkey of one of them laid down because his burden or her burden was just too much. And the other guy passes by and he sees the donkey on the ground and says to himself, doesn't it say in the Torah that if you see your enemy's donkey laying down because of its burden, you should surely raise it up with him? Not just raise it up, but it emphasizes, it's probably one of those doubled verbs in Hebrew, surely, you really should help him raise it up. So what does this guy do? He goes back and he helps to load the animal and accompanies his enemy. And as they're going along, they start conversing, having a bit of a conversation. He loosens the strap a little from one side and lifts it from the other side and straps on this side and that side until they've reloaded and rebalanced the donkeys back together. And the result was, this midrash says, they made peace with each other. The other guy, the first guy, he says, didn't I think he was my enemy? See how he had mercy on me when he saw me and my donkey in dire straits. And the result was that they entered it in together, and they ate and they drank, and they developed an affection for each other. How amazing is that? Reconciliation makes us think of some hopeful instances in recent decades, the reconciliation efforts that happened powerfully after the war and genocide in Rwanda, many places in Europe, elsewhere in Africa, bilingual schools and dialogue groups and civil society groups in Israel trying to make things better there for relations between Jews, Arabs, Palestinians, etc. I found this midrash in a book called The Torah of Reconciliation. Amazing, amazing book written by a friend and mentor of mine, Rabbi Sheldon Lewis. And in every single parasha, every single Torah portion, he brings midrash and Talmud about the theme of reconciliation. Rabbi Lewis wraps up by saying, the case described in Torah is extreme. An encounter with an enemy who is in need of help. The goal is to seize this opportunity to overcome hatred and make a new beginning in a strained relationship. By doing this unexpected kindness, both parties are forced to re-examine their assumptions about each other. Being and remaining in a state of tension, says Rabbi Lewis, with another is intolerable. Any opening to show the other kindness becomes an opening to transform hatred into its opposite. How beautiful. I'll show you the beautiful surroundings I'm in. What a beautiful city we live in at Granville Island here. Got a great hot chocolate in the cold. Saw our friend and member of our community, Steve Whiteside, over there. I'll just tell you that coming up, we have some great talks. Henry Abramson, amazing scholar and teacher of history. He taught for us a year ago. He's teaching 5 sessions coming up. I'm sure he'll be talking about times when relations were strained and hopefully got better. Great other speakers coming up. A Haredi ultra-Orthodox Shlomo Tzioni Chassid who reports as a journalist. Hope to see you at many of these things, and Shabbat Shalom.